This is Neural Newscast.
Here is your week in review.
From Neural Newscast, I'm Peter Rowan.
And I'm Isabel Moreno.
We begin in Switzerland, where United States and Iranian negotiators have established a 60-day roadmap for a comprehensive nuclear and security agreement.
The framework, mediated by Qatar and Pakistan, includes a direct communication line to prevent incidents in the Strait of Hormuz and a plan to end military operations in Lebanon.
To support these talks, the United States Treasury issued General License X earlier this week. It grants a 60-day exemption on Iranian oil sanctions and authorizes dollar-denominated trade for the first time in over 40 years.
This move could unlock up to $9 billion in revenue for Tehran, allowing the sale of 67 million barrels of oil currently held in floating inventory through August 21st.
President Trump is defending the license as a way to lower domestic gasoline prices, which have reached $4 per gallon. He insists the funds must be used for agricultural goods.
Despite this, the president also ordered a Justice Department investigation into major oil firms like ExxonMobil and Shell, accusing them of price gouging as wholesale crude costs have dropped.
Wholesale Brent crude is hovering around $74 a barrel. The administration argues pump prices should be closer to $2.25 based on current market conditions.
In South America, a massive humanitarian crisis is unfolding following back-to-back earthquakes in northern Venezuela.
The tremors, measuring 7.2 and 7.5, struck less than a minute apart on Wednesday. At least 164 people are dead and nearly 1,000 injured near Caracas and La Guaira.
Acting President Delcy Rodriguez has declared a state of emergency as rescue teams from Switzerland, Turkey, and the Netherlands arrived to search for survivors beneath collapsed high-rises.
In nearby Colombia, right-wing candidate Abelardo de la Espriella, known as the Tiger, claimed victory in the presidential runoff with 49.7% of the vote.
De la Espriella campaigned on a platform of military crackdowns against drug cartels. His opponent, Iván Cepeda, is demanding an official verification of the results due to the narrow margin.
Elsewhere in world leadership, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his resignation early this week, only 2 years after taking office. Andy Burnham is favored as a possible successor.
Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić also announced he would resign within weeks, citing 18 months of anti-government protests over corruption and media censorship.
In the Vatican, a formal schism appears imminent. The Society of St. Pius X is preparing for unauthorized bishop ordinations in Switzerland, despite warnings of excommunication from Pope Leo.
Turning back to the United States, the Supreme Court delivered several consequential rulings this week that will reshape immigration and civil rights law.
In a 6-3 decision, the court cleared the way for the administration to end temporary protected status for 350,000 Haitian and 6,100 Syrian migrants.
Justice Alito wrote that the law prevents courts from reviewing these executive decisions. Justice Kagan's dissent argued the policy changes were influenced by racial undertones.
The court also revived a metering policy, ruling that migrants are not entitled to apply for asylum until they are physically present on United States soil. The move limits daily processing at the border.
Additionally, the court ruled that people who are incarcerated cannot sue individual officials for damages under the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. This follows a case where a Rastafarian inmate was forcibly shaved.
Justice Gorsuch noted that while states agree to federal rules when accepting funding, individual employees do not automatically inherit personal liability for violations.
In the legislative branch, President Trump has refused to sign a bipartisan housing bill until Congress approves the Save America Act, which would implement strict voter ID requirements.
Regarding the conflict in Ukraine, the capital city of Kyiv was targeted by a Russian ballistic missile attack early Sunday morning, wounding at least 2 people and sparking fires.
Earlier this week, Ukraine intensified its own long-range strikes against fuel infrastructure in occupied Crimea, successfully knocking out a major power substation in Sevastopol.
Moscow-installed officials have suspended civilian fuel sales in the region. Residents report shortages of basic goods like sugar while facing high summer temperatures.
In Kyiv, a court sentenced a former intelligence colonel to life in prison for high treason. He was found to be sharing classified military movements with Russia's FSB.
While European allies prepare for the NATO summit in Ankara next month, South Korea has announced a massive military overhaul to train 500,000 personnel as drone operators.
Defense Minister An Gyu-bak stated that every soldier should use drones as a second personal firearm, a strategy influenced by the low-cost drone warfare seen in Ukraine.
In technology news, OpenAI announced on Friday that it is restricting the release of its newest AI model, GPT-5.6 Sol, at the request of the Trump administration.
The model is reportedly better at finding and fixing software vulnerabilities, but officials are vetting it for national security risks before allowing broader availability.
Meanwhile, the government lifted restrictions on Anthropic's Mythos 5 model, allowing it to be used by a small group of cyber defenders after it was previously banned.
Critics like Representative Lori Trahan have expressed concern that the administration is deciding company by company who gets access to AI models without a clear legal framework.
In consumer news, Snap officially released its new augmented reality glasses called Specs, which include integrated mapping and navigation capabilities.
And gamers were surprised to learn that the physical edition of Grand Theft Auto 6 will launch as a code in a box with no actual disc, raising questions about game ownership. Rockstar's decision follows a trend where more than half of Xbox consoles in the United States and a quarter of PlayStations are now sold without physical disc drives. Finally, the World Cup saw a historic debut for Cape Verde, as the nation scored its first ever goal in the tournament during a match against Uruguay.
The achievement was celebrated globally as a sign of the expanding reach of the sport to smaller nations on the world stage.
That is the news for this Sunday, June 28th. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.